At 56, I decided to work remotely from Croatia. If I haven't met you yet, I'm Jennifer Gilman, and I'm a functional medicine, health, and lifestyle coach. Today, you're going to get 7 tips for intentional planning and so much less stress for living life abroad. Tip number 1, prioritizing time with family and friends. This is so important for our health and well-being, is spending that time with the people we love the most before we leave, especially that last week. Yes, you're packing and doing all of this other things, but if you planned intentionally ahead of time, then you probably have a lot of your packing already done, right? And just maybe doing that the weekends leading up to that final week. So that's what I did, is I just try to make sure that I had everything set. There were certain things obviously that had to happen that final week, like the movers coming, everything put in storage, selling my car, all those things have to happen that last week. But also every single day I had time with friends and family, especially my daughter. So think about that and plan that time to be really present. So I did this over like coffee dates, lunch dates, dinner, walking. I love walking. So I already had always done a lot of walking dates with friends, and I just like quadrupled that for that final week. Another thing I want you to think about is before you leave, think about any kind of keepsake, anything that maybe small that you could take with you that would remind you of your friends and family, making sure you have a friends and family album on your phone, all those pictures set there, because when you get to your destination, you may really want to lean into that of just feeling kind of comfortable as you're starting to make new friends. So make sure you get that stuff together before you leave. And I just want to shout out to all of you listening. You might have other ideas around how you can connect with family and friends. So make sure you drop it in the comments here. And by the way, if you're not in the YouTube app watching this, make sure you jump over to the YouTube app. Otherwise, you're not going to see the description and be able to make a comment. While you're there, I'd love for you to give me a like and even think about subscribing to my channel if you don't want to miss the next episodes. Step number 2, pre-plan the tough stuff weeks in advance, right? You know you're going to be living abroad. You know this typically months in advance. So really get on your calendar of like choosing to rent or sell your home, whatever you're going to do there. You're going to do that way in advance. You're going to choose all of your banking and financials, get things in order before you leave, get your financial house in order definitely before you leave, making sure you have the right credit cards, all of that good stuff. If you have to rent a storage unit, do that. Make sure all that's done. Don't wait till the last week to do that, because otherwise your life will be so chaotic. You will be so stressed. You're not going to be sleeping. You're probably going to turn to junk food at that point. You're not going to be exercising. You're going to feel a mess. And I don't want you to feel that way. So really think about making sure we get all of this big stuff out of the way ahead of time. And then, of course, that final week, yes, the movers are coming, they're arriving, you're getting stuff in storage, you're selling your car, whatever it is that you decide to do with your vehicle, and you're doing all that, but it's set in motion because you pre-planned it with intention, all right? So that's what I did. I really called moving companies, gosh, I think it was like 2 months in advance, and hired someone. I called storage units a couple months in advance, even though I didn't actually put the money down on the storage unit until I think it was about 10 days before. So, but I pre-planned by looking at 4 different storage units and making a decision of which one I was going to go with. So these are the things I'm talking about. It's going to make your life so much easier and peaceful that final week. On to step number 3, one of my favorites is self-care. Many people call me the self-care muse for good reason. It actually served me many years ago when I burned out. I flat out burned out in my life. And one of the biggest things to help me back was really focusing on self-care. And I created morning and evening routines and even healing pauses during the day. It's something through my coaching that I help others do, because many people don't have this. They want it. They want to have these morning and evening rituals, but life can be chaotic, right? And you're like, how do I fit it in? I don't have the time. I'm too busy, right? So these are things that are going to help you immensely before, moving, this big move, living abroad, and especially that final week. So really think about locking in your self-care routine. How do you wake up in the morning? Do you just spend some quiet time with your coffee or tea, having those little bit of moments, maybe some journaling, maybe a little breath work, meditation, whatever it is that helps you just kind of really greet the sun in the morning and enjoy those first few moments. It doesn't have to be a long period of time. It could just be like 10-15 minutes. I like it a little bit longer just because I've been practicing this for a long time now. And then how do you end your day? So real life example here, it was about 10 days to a week before I left, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like breathing heavier, like my stuff is not all fitting in the suitcases. I'm freaking out a little bit. And I'm like, Jennifer, just remember breath work. So that's when in the evening I started to extend my meditation time. Typically, I'm kind of simple. It's like 5 minutes in the morning, 5 at the end of the day. I do some soft belly breathing, maybe to some guided meditation, but I don't do it for a long period of time. 5 minutes, I bookend it. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 at the end of the day, and it serves me really well. Well, I needed to increase that time in the evening because I was just so amped up, and thinking about all the things and all the people and what am I doing, like what the heck, right? And that's just real life example. I needed to go ahead and do a little bit more breath work and meditation before I went to bed. So think about your routines. What are you doing for self-care? Because you're really going to lean into it, especially right before you leave. Tip number 4, keep moving your body. Exercise is so important here. It's part of the circadian rhythm too. Is like being able to have a good night's sleep. We need to expend energy during the day, right? So if you're not doing that and you get caught up in this cycle of there's so much I need to do to get done before I leave, and you're not exercising, you're not going to sleep well because you're not expending actually enough energy to calm the nervous system down as well. So it really is important to still have your exercise routines. And it doesn't have to be full out, HIIT workouts or anything like that, but get in your strength training, get a couple of days in for the week, get some good walking in, combine it with those friend dates that I mentioned in step 1, right? Walk with friends, and that way you're visiting with them or family members, and maybe early morning, maybe at the end of the day. That could be a really good way to just move your body, and then do some really good stretching at the end of every night. That could be really helpful for getting a good night's sleep. So just remember, exercise really helps manage your stress. The science shows that we're able to think more clearly and make decisions better. So that is a real big key. Make sure you keep moving your body. Tip number 5 is eating well. I was going to get to this part, right? It's really important, especially that final week, is really making sure that you're getting enough protein and vegetables. And I know I'm focusing on the final week because a lot of times that final week, many people, you might think about like, oh, I'm just going to go quick. I'm doing fast food or whatever, or I'm going to order, DoorDash or somebody to deliver food. Trust me, you're going to feel so much better if you don't do that. There's easier ways though. So I want to share with you, you don't need to be making, home cooked meals. What I did the final week is I went to Trader Joe's. And so a store like that has maybe salad kits in a bag, that's going to be great for your vegetables. So I bought 4 different salad kits for that final week and got a couple servings out of each, but it was a good amount of vegetable for me. And that gives you your fiber. It's like brain food, but then making sure you have enough protein. And that final week, I did not want to do any cooking. And I'm sure you're the same, right? You're like, no way, I'm not cooking. All that stuff is already packed up, whatever it is. But you still need to get adequate protein. So maybe it's through protein shakes and you leave your blender out for a little bit longer. And then maybe it's something like what I did. I did the protein shakes, but I also got more of that prepared grilled chicken. I got a roasted chicken. I had a lot of chicken. I did have a lot of chicken because it's just kind of easy to do that. But all that was in my refrigerator so that I very easily put meals together that final week. But the protein and veg, so important for your brain to be working well and your body to be at, its best during this time. So don't forget to eat well. So tip number 6 is prioritizing sleep. So important to prioritize your sleep because then you're going to be able to really make decisions better, especially if something goes a little bit not according to plan and we have to be a little bit flexible. Well, if you're getting enough sleep, then you're able to be taking a moment, taking a breath and be like, okay, not happening the way I thought it was going to happen, but I can adjust. I can definitely think of plan B, right? But if you're not getting sleep, you're going to be like, what? How could this happen? This can't be happening. We must do it this way, you know? And so you probably can relate to that of just like really flying off the handle because you're not getting enough sleep. So think about what is the best way you've been able to prepare for a good night's sleep. All right, it's not a good time to start drinking a lot of alcohol because that definitely interrupts our sleep. How can you wind down your night? Really limiting screen time. Get rid of the screens, especially the last hour, if not even more than that, is no screen time. You know, just be done with it. And do some breath work, do some stretching, have a cup of tea, have a bath, do any of those kind of things. So I like to play some music, do kind of a little walk outside. That was really helping me is having evening walks and then coming in, playing some music and doing a really nice yoga stretch routine and having a cup of tea and just kind of winding down, reading a little bit and going to bed. That was my routine. So you could see how even as I'm saying it, I'm like, oh, I'm calming down as I'm talking about it. That's what you want to make sure you're doing is getting a good night's sleep because otherwise you're not going to be ready for any of those things that don't go according to plan. So tip number 7 is leaving room for flexibility, which honestly, so old me, not very flexible and not very patient. And I have had to work on this for years. And I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job about this. And my daughter might not agree, although she has told me a little bit that I've kind of chilled out a little bit. So this is important though. And if you do all those first 6 things, you're going to feel more flexible. You will feel like you can adapt a little bit better if something doesn't go right. And I'm going to assure you here that things are not going to go off 100%. It's just not going to happen. And that is normal and it is survivable. You will survive, right? So just be going into this of like, okay, I need to be flexible. Something's going to come at me through this whole process that's just not going to go according to plan. And it is okay. So think about that. And just to have a little bit of lightheartedness and enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, and you will be fine. So there you have it, the 7 tips for intentional planning so that you have so much less stress getting ready to live abroad. Now, I want to queue up my next episode because you will not want to miss this. It is my first week in Croatia. So, oh man, yeah, we're going to be talking about that in the next episode. So make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of that. And while you're there, I'd love for you to like this episode and share it with other people who you think might be excited about travels or maybe thinking of living abroad or just wondering, how do I bring in wellness while living abroad or even traveling in general? So I have a question for you. What is it that you've been wanting to do but haven't yet? What is the next part of your life going to look like? And why aren't you taking the next steps? Is it maybe your health? Is it maybe fear of big change? I want you to know you don't have to do this alone. I would love for you to reach out to me and we can talk. I can help you take the next step. Bye for now.